Thank you for joining me. We're going to be looking today at the account of Ruth and Naomi. Our hymn is called Let Fall Some Handfuls.
And Ruth thought leaning when Jehovah was her guide. To Boaz field he led her straight, and she became his bride. Jesus, my Boaz is my strength and portion, so His word of grace, the precious field where I am leaning go. Oh, what a heavenly field, what handfuls it contains, what strength and comfort gleaners get to recompense their gains. Ye gleaners, one and all, let Christ be all your song. He is your strength and portion too, and you to Him belong.
Our passage comes, of course, from Ruth chapter 1, verse 1. If you're not familiar with the account of Ruth, a famine breaks out in Israel. It's the time of the judges. There's a famine. And so there's a man named Elimelech, and his wife is named Naomi, verse 2. They have two sons. Because of the famine, they go to Moab. They're there for quite a while. Eventually, Naomi's husband dies, and unfortunately, after that, even her two sons pass. While they were gone, while they were in Moab, the two sons marry two women, Orpah, verse 4, and the other one is called Ruth. They're there about 10 years altogether. They're in verse 4. But eventually, word comes that Israel has food once again, been blessed with rain, I suppose. And so Naomi and the two daughter-in-laws start coming back. Naomi tells the two daughter-in-laws to just go back to Moab. The daughter-in-laws, Orpah and Ruth, they're not from Israel. So she says, just go back, return to your family's house, verse 8. Go return to their mother's house, and the Lord kindly would deal with them. The first one, Orpah, does what Naomi says and goes back to Moab, but Ruth sticks with Naomi, and even more than that. And so you have her, what she says, which is pretty well known. And so Ruth says, entreat me not to leave you or to turn back from following after you. For wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you and me. When that'd be Naomi, saw that she was determined to go with her, she stopped speaking to her. I don't think in a harsh way, just she realized her mind was set on it. But I was thinking about, and I'm not going to say that any of these items in verse 16, that one's more important than any of the other, although love the Lord your God is the first commandment. But it just impressed me that when she says, your people shall be my people, the famine was widespread. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility to think that other people from Israel may have also been in Moab. I think that's probably pretty likely, but just for the sake of making this point, let's just say the only one that she knows is Naomi. And of course, she knew her husband as well. And if Elimelech didn't pass before she came into the picture, she would have known him as well. But my point is that she knew at least a very limited number of Hebrews. She didn't know very many. And perhaps it was less than a handful. And yet she still has the faith to say, your people will be my people. My point in bringing this up is, sometimes we look at the people of God And we see their sins. This is in the time of the judges. And so we know what was happening in Israel. Well, if you're outside of Israel, would you still have laid claim to the people of God? I think a lot of people would say, no, this was a bad time in Israel. I don't think I would join them. Ruth does. See, at some point we have to look at God's people, perhaps not individually, but as a collective and as an idea. Because, and it's like Ruth didn't know all of Naomi's people. She didn't know them to know them individually, but she knew them, for lack of a better way of saying it, the idea of God's people. And so we want to be a part of God's people through thick and thin. And sometimes that can be difficult because we get to know them and we get to know sins and eccentricities, and they get to know us as well. We should probably remember that. We definitely should remember that. But I appreciate Ruth because she doesn't know many of God's people, but she knows enough. And she wants to, as she says, she wants to follow the Lord, and that means she wants to be a part of the Lord's people. Now, go on. They get to Bethlehem. Naomi is very embittered by everything that's happened. Excuse me. But then, chapter 2, verse 1, there's a relative of Naomi's husband, a man of great wealth, of the family of Elimelech. His name was Boaz. So Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, "Please let me go to the field and glean heads of grain after him in whose sight I may find favor." And she said to her, "Go, my daughter." I appreciate, here Ruth is, and I think Ruth appreciated. Just think about it this way. What made it possible for them to glean in the fields? It's because by law, the corners of the fields were to remain for the gleaners. What do you think? Do you think they had that law everywhere? Probably not. And so, in my notes, I put it this way. I wonder how much Ruth appreciated the kindness of God's law. That God's law provided for people like her to glean, for the strangers, for those coming through, for the poor. Not everybody has laws like that. And I just wonder how different this was than where she had come from. That God's commandments are so kind. Might consider it. Back to the passage. Verse 4. Now behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered him, "The Lord bless you." And so now Ruth is starting to meet. She's starting to meet more of Israel. And here it's a wonderful picture. And again, sort of like in verse 2 and verse 4, do you think every farmer had this sort of relationship with his field hands, with the servants? Probably not. And how much Ruth must have appreciated seeing brethren like this, where masters are kind to their servants and servants are respectful of their masters. Not every place is like that. And so, as Ruth is just getting to know everyone, it probably was a sight to see. God's law is providing. God's people are kind and respectful. And she wants to be a part of it because she knew one, Naomi. What sort of person should we be with those around us? We should be the sort of person that if others in our lives, if they only know one Christian, they want to follow us. Imitate me as I imitate Christ. They should see our works and they should want to join the Lord and his people. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good day. Join us tomorrow for another portion of our Daily Praise.